Hello, hello.
Howdy.
Welcome, everyone.
Hi.
We'll give folks a couple minutes to get in, but welcome. So good to see everybody here.
This is exciting.
Good to see you guys. It feels like an intimate conversation, like it's just us three, but I know there's a bunch of other people. You can't see them, you can't hear them, but they're there.
Definitely feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. Say hello, say where you're from, where you're calling in from. It's good to see everybody here. As we get started, as folks jump in, you're on mute, but definitely check out the chat, say hello, post some questions in the Q&A as we get started. But so excited to see you all. We'll give folks another minute before getting started. Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Jonathan.
Hi.
How's everyone doing on this Tuesday? Hey, Daryl.
It's so strange not seeing everyone's faces.
I know.
Please chat. Do we know that other people are here?
Or I know, we're trying something new.
Conversation with the three of us.
There we go. Hey, everyone. All right. Well, as we get started, if you don't know me yet, I'm Jenna Kluger. I'm the head of growth at Quala and co-host of Humans of Customer Success. So great to see you all. For folks who have been with us since the start, and hello to everyone who's new to Humans of CS. It's great to see you here. We have this fancy new platform that we're so excited to run this session on, provide even more opportunities for you all to engage and have fun on our community hour today. As we are getting started here, we have lots to explore within Goalcast. Make sure to check out, looks like everyone's found the chat, the Q&A, and then up top we have the agenda for today. So if you want to check out what today is going to entail, as well as the About section to learn more about Humans of CS and Quala, which hosts Humans of CS, as well as our amazing speakers, which you see here today. We have such a great topic today. It's a meaty topic with two amazing CS leaders. We are going to chat all about customer health scoring and strategies. Our discussion leaders will share how to create and implement a health score that fuels growth. So I know I have lots of questions for them. I know you do too, so I'm really excited to dive in. After our initial chat, we're going to jump into breakout rooms to discuss this topic deeper so that you can talk with fellow community members based on the types of customers you serve and the nature of your customer success organization. And then at the end, we'll be grouped for the last 10 minutes so that we can share insights from those conversations and also give you a chance to ask questions live for our speakers, because I know I have many. Awesome. So it's my pleasure to introduce you to Sonciary. She's hopefully familiar to everyone here, but Sonciary Honnoll is a co-founder of Quala and Humans of CS, and she's going to be leading an interview with Michael today. So it is my pleasure to turn it over to you, Sonciary.
Awesome. Thanks, Jenna. Thank you, Michael, for being my co-conspirator here, partner in crime, and thank you for Goldcast. This is a fun opportunity for us to have a good conversation and connect one-on-one right now. And I can learn from you, Michael, about customer health scores and then have some breakouts after. A little bit about Humans of Customer Success is if this is your first time joining. So we are a community of a few hundred customer success leaders. We like to get together every so many months and have a nice virtual connect or chat, a community hour. We also have a Slack group. If you'd like to join that, have some good conversations, just real time ongoing. There's some good fodder and conversation that happens there. So Jenna, maybe you can pop a link in the chat and then give them the link if people want to be on Slack. A little bit about Quala, a quick commercial here. So we're creating the next generation of customer success technology. We built a platform created by customer success managers for customer success managers. And our magic is that we blend qualitative and quantitative data together so that teams can better understand their customers day one and build health scores that matter, which we're going to talk about. So you can learn more about quala.io. That's Quala.io. It's a play on qualitative. It's not a play on the koala bear, which is a little bit unfortunate for us. Missed opportunities. So Michael, really excited to dive in to this topic with you today. Navigating health scores, kind of a controversial topic. It can be a lot of trial and error. So I'm hoping you can help us cut through some of the noise and maybe save some time, especially for us early stage startups or scaling companies around demystifying the health score. We're going to talk strategically and tactically. We're going to share about the why, when, and hows of health score. So first, maybe, Michael, you can talk to us a little bit about you, your background, and your experience as a tech founder focused on customer success.
Yeah, and actually, before I dive in, is it a controversial topic?
It is. So good question. It is. I've been chatting with so many people about health scores because there is a line of thinking that they're just total crap, and because we can't get them right, why should we even bother spending our time on them? So there are groups of CS leaders that are not so sure that this customer health scores are worthy of effort. So I know we're going to talk a little bit about that. Maybe if you feel that way, you can chat and let us know.
Yeah, no, I thought it might be going in the direction of like NPS is the most controversial other topic of like, does it work? Is it representative of true health and all that? But it sounds like it's kind of a matter of, hey, if it works, I think everyone agrees the health score is great. But if it doesn't, and it's kind of hard to do, then is it even worth your time? So we'll come back to that. In terms of an introduction, so like you said, Michael Marcus, part of the founding team at Jebbit. I was doing some of the mental math, and I started September of 2011 from a Boston college dorm room. So one of those startups here in Boston, which there are a bunch of them. But yeah, when we started off, we were a platform for college students to answer questions about brands and get paid for it. Worked really well with college students who wanted to make $2.70. I did sales. Everyone else were sales or engineers. It was really simple. And over the years, the way I got into customer success is just as a part of the sales team, I started realizing the best way for me to hit my number was to renew and upsell customers. And the best way to do that was to create value. And I just really enjoyed consulting with customers and kind of stumbled upon the whole, I guess, holy grail of SaaS, which is retention. Net revenue retention, if you're getting even more specific. So about 6 years ago, I started the team of one customer success team and have scaled the team out since then. We're about I want to say 60 some person company. We've raised about $19 million Series B stage. And now we have a platform that allows marketers across pretty much every vertical to create quizzes, surveys that are agency level, but all point and click, self-service, really easy to do. Customers like the NFL, NARS, Shiseido, Bare Minerals, we were talking about before this, Procter & Gamble, the like. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It makes total sense that you find yourself in customer success, having a sales background. And I think probably we could do a whole nother call around what it's like to be the first customer success manager on a team, understand the work that needs to be done to keep customers happy, healthy, and growing, and then move to actually building the team from there. So yeah, the CSM of one, and then the growth that happens after that is a total another topic that I'd love to dive in on at some point. But if we keep on target, we talked about the controversy around customer health scores a little bit. So why should we care? What advice would you give to someone that is not really sure if this is worth their time? Primarily, to your point, because how can I build something that I can really trust? So I guess let me say it more crisply. How are you using your health score today?
Yeah. So I guess as you bring up the controversy, one of the things that brings me back is I think the first place that I stumbled in the early days before we created our health score was I thought a health score needed to be that single source of truth. Like it had to be right or wrong, period. And I think the really important learning as we went through the whole process that I'll bring back to anyone who's creating a health score from scratch is that the health score is like a teammate. It's not the end point. It's not the thing that just decides this will churn or this will renew. It's the piece that if you operationalize it correctly can be really helpful. It's not going to be right every single time. And it certainly isn't for us, but it helps spur conversation that creates great behaviors amongst the team. And that's what's been most helpful for us. So I'm not sure if I'm really coming to your question, but I think just as you're laying a foundation, first thing about why do you need this health score? And for us, the reason was very simply, we were putting our time in potentially the wrong places with our customer base. Our customer base grew. We had a team that was growing, and we talked all the time about prioritization. Where should I put my time? So it actually, the core of it really didn't stem from predicting churn per se. It evolved to that. But it was, how do you focus the team on the highest impact areas? First, how can we proactively flag customers who might be at risk? How can we proactively flag customers where there's opportunity? And let's use an unemotional number and pair it with our own qualitative, like internal sixth sense, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the concept of the health score being a teammate is an important one. Just like one team does not own churn, it's the entire company that owns it. Your customer health score is not the singular score to live and die by. It's a very important input, and how you use it, obviously, is helps. What am I trying to say? Connect or build on that importance. So let me ask you this. As far as building your customer health score, you mentioned a few goals that you had. Were those more qualitative? Hey, we need something to help us better understand our customers, or did you have some hard and fast goals around the customer health score that you wanted to achieve as a result of putting this together?
Well, I think at the end of the day, like anything we pour our time into probably comes back to retention in some way. So at the end of the day, all of us know there's some room to improve retention, either gross or net, depending on where you are. For us, we really wanted to focus on creating more value for our customers, spending time in the right place, more accurately predicting renewals. And I think if we had that dashboard, ultimately, we're going to improve retention. So that was a metric I was looking at. If the team is better set up to scale, to focus in the right areas, to spend their time in the right places, our retention should go up as a result. I think the indirect benefit also is just when you start to give this data to other teams. So I work together with the product team to build the health score. And as a result, their understanding of the customer just went through the roof. It was a new understanding of the customer that they never had. And in building that health score dashboard, they could monitor it. And so it created new conversations of, how healthy is our customer base? What customers are struggling right now? And is there a trend that we're seeing here? It was kind of that unemotional truth that kind of brought everyone together.
Got it. Okay. So the why sounds like for you guys, it helps facilitate communication between customer success team members and across the organization. Sounds like you created a clear goal around why you were creating the health score and what it was supposed to help you understand. And then from there, you did a lot of work to actually create it, which we're going to talk about in a second. But first, I'm curious to know your thoughts on when. Is there any particular stage of a company where creating or building a health score makes sense? Would you advise some companies at certain stages, or maybe there are certain specific milestones or diagnosable problems like churn that might lead people to say it's time for me to build a health score? Just a thought around timing for some companies.
Earlier the better, right away from the start. If I could do it over again, I'd go right from the start. And I think the reason for that, it's like the same question when someone's like, when should I use Salesforce? You might not need it from the start. Like I can use my spreadsheets, but if I build the infrastructure when it's most simple and when I understand the customer best, you're going to have a better foundation for a health score. It's easier in the early days. And I mean, most of it is just setting up to scale. So the other piece also is like, you get very tied emotionally to your customers when you're a team of one or two, like, them inside and out. So we fell oftentimes in the early days into the trap of like, they really like us. They get on the calls every week, but is it actually proving value? Are they using the platform? Maybe not. And sometimes we're blind to that. So I think when you're like most influenced by emotion, it's the early days. It's when it's simplest. That's when I would start for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point. For those of us on the call that are, in the earlier stages, or maybe we have relationships with customers that are with named accounts, they're enterprise level accounts. We have close connections with them. You do have to be careful with how you think about their experiences. They might like working with you. They might find your interactions valuable, but that doesn't mean that they find the product valuable, and it doesn't mean that they're getting the value that they wanted to get in the time that they wanted to get it in. So asking key questions around, do you have connections with your key champions? Are they getting the perceived value they wanted when they wanted? And, we can continue down that road, but let me put a pin in that for a second. And ask you, what did the makeup of the team and company look like when you put your customer health score together? You're trustworthy, the one that you're like, this is working for us.
Yeah, we were probably, because it was about 2.5 years ago. I want to say we were a team of like 40, 30 maybe. So again, like all of it comes from, I think we were a little too late to the game.
Yeah.
We went to one of our investors conferences. Someone gave a health score presentation, and it kind of woke us up. Like, wow, this could be the most important focus of our next year. Like, if we're looking to double in size as a company, and we don't have something like this in place, how will we operationalize the team?
Okay.
So yeah, that's where that was kind of the context of where we were, and it was just kind of like as things were starting to take off.
Okay, got it. Let's move to the how, probably the most important conversation that we can have today. And I noticed, Todd, you had some questions, hey, Todd, about metrics specifically. So maybe you could break down the key components of your health score. And I'm really interested in understanding how you went about discovering leading indicators. So many of us are struggling with leading versus lagging. And any pointers you have around your key components, how you developed them, and what your process looked like, I think could be really beneficial for everyone listening.
Yeah, definitely. So the way we started out, and I actually think this might have been the one thing we did right through the whole process, was we just went to a whiteboard. Like we didn't overcomplicate it. It was nothing fancy. I'm pretty sure we came back from that conference and we put up a whiteboard, locked ourselves in a room. It was myself, another member of the customer success team, our data analyst, and our VP of product. And the four of us, we were in there for 3 or 4 hours, and all we talked about were, here are customers who renewed. Why? Here are customers who churned. Why? What were some of the data? Let's look at the data from the last year in those renewed and churned customers. What are some things that stand out that might have led to the renewal, that might have led to the churn? We just wrote every category down. And I think at its peak, we had like 100 potential factors ranging from incredibly specific to just broad. And obviously that's like an overwhelming starting point. And that's when I sat down. I was lucky enough to meet Mike Redboard, who I know you know, Sansi.
Yeah, Mike. I don't know if he's on the call, but thanks, Mike.
Might be, but he's more influential than I think he realizes in all of this. And he told me the story at HubSpot, and he wrote about it in a write-up we had done, which he said, like, hey, we were able to just like eyeball the 4 or 5 indicators that were most correlated to renewal at like an 80% rate, right? At HubSpot, we nailed it basically from the start. He's like, just take that list of 100 and hypothesize a couple. Take 10 or 12. So we take the list of 100. I think we brought it down to like 15 or 20 because it's hard to actually just cut everything up. And that's when we took it to our data analyst, Caroline Daughtry, who's unbelievable. If you have a data analyst who can work with you on this stuff, it helps. If you don't, totally fine. Like Excel does wonders. But we took those 15 factors and she tested it against a group of like the 30 or 40 most representative churns and renewals of the past year. Like we just looked back 12 months. We looked at, I don't think we had 30 that churned, but as many as we could that were representative in the churn and renewal column. And then we tested each of those factors against it. And she just came back with correlations. And that was our starting point.
When you say testing, you're saying you actually just looked at the data specific, like you were, okay.
Yeah. So what you end up with, like, and this, again, this can just be a spreadsheet. I'll give you one that I did manually myself, which was what number of users is the predictor of renewal? What number of users can accurately predict churn, if any? Like sometimes you won't get both. And it was weird. I charted the numbers. I looked at, here are all my churn customers. Here are my renewed. I went into the data. I manually put it in Excel, and this number 2 came up. If there are over 2 users, we renew like 90+%. And if you're 2 users, you churn like more than half of them.
So how do you use that? Sorry to interrupt. How do you use that data then? You're like, okay, I have this important bit of information. How do you use that in an operationalized way to help CSMs affect that change? Or is that like do you have a tech touch program that's not necessarily like CSMs driving those behaviors?
Yeah, I mean, the majority of our business when we created the health score was high touch enterprise.
Okay.
So the way we operationalized it was like once we had the 5 or 6 factors that became the formula for a health score, we just put those health scores in front of the customer success team and operationalized it where weekly one-on-ones ran off health scores. Hey, this logo is down 2 in their health score in the last 30 days. It looks like this factor was effective. They're not building as much as they used to. What's going on there? 50% of the time, the CSMs would have a great reason for it. Like, oh, they're more campaign based. They're waiting for summer season. That's when they really ramp things up. Okay, not a red flag. Perfectly fine. In other cases, you get the aha moment of, oh yeah, we've been having great calls, but I guess they're not really actually doing anything from them, and that's when you escalate. So,
okay. That makes sense. And how is it evolving over time? I'm sure the customer health score is not one and done. You're continuously tweaking it, or you tell me how has it evolved over time?
Yeah, so there's 2 main things we did. Like obviously, the 5 or 6 factors you pick might not be the right factors out the gate, but it's a great starting point. It gives you something to react to. So we're always testing those 15 factors. We're bringing them back just to see, is our customer base changing such that the factors, those 5 that we have, are actually now these 5 over here, right? Like these 3 are still in place, but all of a sudden, like integrations are a really great leading indicator for this new cohort of customers.
Okay.
So changing the inputs.
Yeah.
The second one that I think was more important was our onboarding score. So we took our health score and we said, okay, we're noticing the health score is not accurate in the first 90 days. It just consistently isn't telling us much.
And it's not accurate because because customers were churning or something else?
So for example, let's say like the threshold to get a green score on number of users in platform is like 5 users. Our customers might take 120, 180 days to ramp up where they're introducing the platform to the rest of their team. So to be measuring them on day 30 in number of users where that's just not part of their life cycle, it didn't make sense. So there were other factors that we noticed, like days to first login or number of logins in the first 15 days is a great indicator, for example, of renewal just in the onboarding period. So that's where now we have 2 scores actually. First 90 days, everyone in our onboarding process, we call it Jumpstart. So it's our Jumpstart score. And then we have our health score for everyone post day 90.
Oh, I love that. A Jumpstart score. I'm going to steal that one. I'm sure other people on the call will too. Okay. And then as far as, Jenna's back. Oh man.
Guys, I know. I feel like we could keep talking, and I want to jump on because we're going to be jumping out to breakout rooms in a little bit, and we'll have time to keep the conversation going at the end. But for all of our attendees, in a couple seconds, we're going to be prompted to jump into breakout rooms. And how it will work is you will get to choose which breakout room you want to join, and they are based on the types of customers to serve or how you serve your customers. So whether you have a high scale approach, a high touch, maybe a little bit of both. Or maybe you're a new CS leader or within a startup. So you get to choose which room you join. And from there, make sure to do some quick introductions. It'll be groups no bigger than 15. And we'll have a question to get you going. So in your rooms, maybe start chatting about how have you developed a health score in the past that's worked well? maybe not so well. So I'll leave you all with that, and we'll come back here in 10.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.